Hi, this is Andrew Twidwell with ABT Plumbing Electric Heating Air. Once again with the show, You Got This, to show DIY do's and don'ts. And sorry, I'm laughing leading into this because we're on this new format, this new program, and it actually has a countdown. And I was laughing at myself because I was fingering the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, live. We're live in Auburn, California on
pretty funny
Wednesday morning, a snowing morning. Anyway, hi, Rosalie. How are you doing? You're in lovely LA where it's like 70 degrees and
no, it's not 70.
Oh, it's 70 in Palm Springs. We were looking because we were in Palm Springs last week and it was like 50 and it was cold the whole time we were down in SoCal. We were in Palm Springs, we were in Malibu, we were in what was the other one? Pismo Beach.
Yeah, all the real gross places.
Yeah.
All the gross places. Yeah.
Anza Borrego Springs, where it was, I think the high we experienced was 59. I think that was the highest of the whole week trip that we took down there. And snow, got to see all the snow in the hills, but we missed the majority of the snow up here. And I kind of have, I was thinking about it this morning, I was kind of like, I have a little bit of a survival guilt because I wasn't here, to experience it. Do you ever get that sometimes? Like,
nope.
I know I didn't want to be in it, but I feel a little guilty that I wasn't in it. It's weird. It's weird.
No,
all my friends were dealing with it, and I didn't have to deal with it.
Well, I was dealing with snow, but not in my front yard. But we got snow on like the Hollywood sign and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Weird.
I drove through there like that day, like through San Bernardino and Pasadena was crazy. Yeah.
So coming from the east, I mean, you had the weather. I didn't have like that, but we had the, I'll just tell a little story. So that ties into the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown. So in the midst of the storm, we went to a taping of a TV show and, we went.
I saw that on Facebook. Were you part of it? Were you the cast?
No.
Or an extra?
No. We went to it. No, please.
Your audience.
It took years for you to convince me to do YouTube. Are you kidding me? No. We were in the audience, but so we went to Frasier's is that series is coming back and so the Paramount Studios is really close to where I live. So anyway, so we got tickets to that, and we choose the day of the taping that we chose was it was freezing cold outside. We had to wait outside the studio, like in the outdoors, for like an hour and a half. They finally let us into like a segregated part of the back, like lot on Paramount. Right. It was all outdoors, and it was there was a break in the rain, but it was like Arctic freezing with wind. Yeah. So it was like 40 something degrees, and they gave us a bottle of water and a half a sandwich, and that was at like 4:30. So you go into the taping, which itself, it was pretty cool, that part of it. But it went on for like 8 hours. And like we get out at like 11 and I'm like, first off, I'm like, okay, my blood sugar is, I don't even know, like no water, no food. You had to sit there the whole time. And then we get out and there is no
cocktails. Yeah.
No, that would have, trust me. But there's no covering. We're outside and our car is like 4 or 5 blocks away and it is pouring rain. Yeah. So we're running through and it's like hitting you and your whole body is like convulsing. It's freezing. And that was so Wednesdays when we're supposed to record and I messaged you at like 7:30 when I woke up and I'm like, no, not today. Nope. Nope. Like I might be coming down with something. It's like potential freezing here. And then I go on Facebook and friends start texting me and I'm looking at their snow. And I just got some texts today from Nevada City people with their pictures, and I was like, "Yeah,
Wednesday morning, and it was still coming down today. I know I've got a mutual friend of ours on Banner, 4 feet, no power. They're on a cul-de-sac. They finally they were snowbound for 4 or 5 days. They couldn't get out of their house. Fortunately, they had a small generator, but they were worried about running out of gas because they couldn't get out. They finally got a trench, if you will, just a little lane one of the neighbors hired somebody to dig themselves out. So they managed to just have a little lane on their road and they could get out. And the county finally got out there to clear it like within the last couple of days. I mean, it was bad. And nothing bad about the county. I mean, they're doing their best because it was such an unusually deep and heavy snow and just keeps coming and coming. But seems to be a theme with a lot of people I know. And I know I've got one friend who's still without power. And today is the 8th. They've been without power since this all started. And fortunately, they have a standby generator, but so they're not.
Yeah,
they're not
I think
dying.
Yeah,
but,
I think the text I got this morning, the snow is out of control still. She's up on Nevada, up on Banner, but they just got their power back. I think was it yesterday?
Yeah.
She said we got power back, but their front yard. I should post this picture. You can't tell that there's. I mean, it's crazy. It's out of control.
It's nuts. Yeah, and we got home, we got back up to Nevada County yesterday, and we were like, we can't get our trailer in. I mean, I live, a mile from downtown Grass Valley, and, this doesn't normally happen. So we figured out the snow will melt by the time we get back. But since it's been consistently coming, it starts to melt and more snow. And then again, snow at the end of today. So now I'm trying to figure out, we're staying in, we got the RV in Auburn right now, but it was snowing this morning in Auburn. So it's been kind of kooky. I know everybody's probably tired of hearing about the snow and the weather, but it's kind of like been a theme for everybody as of late, and all through California.
Well, so I mean, it kind of brings up too, like what we were going to talk about. And I think I just want to be the responsible party here and say there is a reason, an intentional reason, if you do follow ABT Plumbing, Electric, Heat and Air on social media, or you know what we're doing when we're not doing this show, kind of a concerted effort not to like really hammer home and advertise standalone generators. And it wasn't because we don't know their value. It's not because we can't, be that provider for you. But as we're going to talk a little bit about today, we talk about some of the benefits and why you want to consider one, right? But also the reality of how long it takes to actually get one installed.
Yeah. We'll kind of go into some of those details about how long it takes. It's like if you want to get a standby generator installed in the midst of all this, you've waited too long. It's got to be done. The main thing is just access right now. I mean, you actually have to have dirt that we can put it on. So there's not a lot of dirt around right now. I mean, from Grass Valley down, and I heard we had one of our managers had to drive into Alta Sierra with her 4x4 to pick up one of her guys. And she said it was just nuts. And that was at 7:00 this morning. It took her an hour to get from from Alta Sierra to Auburn. Yeah, nuts. But anyway, let's talk about generators. So I want to first start talking about the benefits. So like I said, I've got one friend who's been without power for going on a week now, actually over a week. And they're not really suffering. They've got a standby generator. They've got power. Their furnace is working. All their lights are working. Their oven's working. Everything's working because they have a standby generator. And if you've lived in Nevada County for any length of time, power outages it's not if, but when and how often this year. It happens at least once, twice, 3 times a year, it seems. And the times that I've lived here for 22 years now, and even though we used to get more snow, it seems it's gotten worse, right? Mm-hmm. We're getting less snow, but now the snow that we're getting, it tends to be heavier and at weird times. And, when there's still leaves on the trees and where it takes out whole areas, right? And we can all remember
it becomes a snow event. It's not just snow. It's a snow event. Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy. So it's not if, but when we're going to have the next power outage. And, unfortunately, but that's one of the downsides of living in this beautiful community. It is gorgeous and it's rural, but living in a rural area, houses are so far apart and there's so many wires going all over the place. PG&E only has so many people they can send, and they've got contractors from all around the country trying to fix this stuff right now. So, but in any event, with a standby generator, it can be seamless. I mean, you may have to reset your clocks, but literally that's what we're talking about. I mean, it happens within seconds. You probably won't even notice the lights dimming. But it's kind of an amazing thing. And if you're living in an area, if you're on Banner Mountain, my gosh, and if you're not, really into unfortunately, my wife married a contractor, so she's had to suffer through it. I've never installed a standby generator. I've always had portables, but I'm really cheap. But I have many friends that, I had one friend who was a pilot, and that was the first thing he did, because he would leave for weeks on end and leave his wife and kids at home on Banner Mountain. And he's like, I need to make sure they're taken care of. I'm not going to risk that. Unfortunately, he had somebody install it, and I'll get to that. He went with the low bidder, and they installed it underneath the window. So during the summertime, if they didn't close that window, they kind of got carbon monoxide throughout the house, and alarms would go off and all this stuff. So don't just because it's cheap install doesn't necessarily mean you kind of get what you pay for sometimes, right? But in any event,
can I ask you a question though? Isn't your so my friends that have a generator, and they bought the good one, so it's pretty great. Everything is charged or working. Don't we put generators kind of, I wouldn't say far from the house, but they have its own little it's got its own little outbuilding almost, it's but it's a little bit far from the house. It's not right upon the house.
Yeah, this one was. I mean.
So that's just bad form.
My buddy was really cheap, because he came from a contractor family. His old man was an electrician, so he figured he could do everything, and he just went for the low ball and figured he could fix it, right? And that's unfortunately sometimes what I do. But yeah, normally, you're not supposed to put it next to the house, and especially you're not supposed to put any gas appliance underneath the window, whether that is a tankless water heater, a regular water heater, furnace. All those exhausts have to be a certain distance from any opening by code for a reason, because we don't want to kill people, right? You don't want people to have a late night where they don't wake up because of carbon monoxide poisoning. But in any event, yeah. So those are some of the benefits, right? You just have instantaneous power, seamless. I know we were talking about this morning, and that one friend that's been without power for a week. They actually live near the Brunswick Basin, and she's always telling when we have power outages, she'd be like, "Hey, Betty, you want to come over?" They run together. Do you want a shower? Everything's working at our house, and at the time we didn't have we had a well, and I hadn't set up a generator on the well, so we didn't have water. So I've rectified that issue. But in any event, there are definitely some major benefits to having a standby generator. There's benefits to having any kind of generator, but a standby generator specifically will make it so that you won't notice these. It won't be as large of an impact on your life as they are without. But to kind of put in context of what's involved in getting a generator installed, one of the things that we're talking about on social media, like you were saying, we don't want to tell people to to highlight the installation of a standby generator right now, because of the fact that it takes a while. You're not going to get one installed the next couple of weeks.
Multiple step process.
We need ground to look at, and the permitting process has changed dramatically from what it used to be, and it continues to change every year. They seem to do a different kind of. They ask for different things and different hoops we have to jump through. So I thought I'd kind of go over some of the steps that it takes to actually have a standby generator installed in your home. First thing is, a site visit. We send a technician out to assess where the client wants to have this generator, and if we can actually get it to that point, because these things are not small, they're not light, they're extremely heavy. It takes about 4 guys to move them around. We've actually hired tractors to move them around as well. So where are we going to put this thing? The next thing we have to do is determine what the client wants powered. So obviously, you can have everything powered. You just got to throw enough money at it, right? But generally speaking, most people, depending on their budget, will say, I want to have my well working. I want to have my furnace working. and my range and my refrigerator and some lights. And they won't go for everything. But I've had other customers say, I want my air conditioning to work because we're having PSBs now, right? We're having those PG&Es turning the power off during the summertime when there's wind events. So, and an air conditioner can be a major user of power, of electricity. So we need a bigger generator. And I want all my lights, I want everything to work. We can do that. It's just going to cost you a little bit more money, obviously. So that is the first step. Site investigation and how much power do you actually how much power do you need? So we'll go around and figure out, what size of generator the customer actually would like. Then it gets a little more interesting. So once we get through that process and the contract signed and everything, and we got a deposit, then we start doing a site plan, where what the county is requiring now to pull a permit is we need to actually do a site plan to spec or to scale for where this thing is being installed, making sure it's not going to be on top of the septic tank, make sure it's going to be in the right area, and actually have to draw this thing out. We also have to do an electrical drawing for it. We have to have a gas sizing chart to show that we're actually installing the right size of gas to the system. And if you're on natural gas, a lot of times these things use a lot of fuel. A lot of times we have to have PG&E come out and install a larger gas meter because of the amount of fuel these things use. And I've seen a lot of some of the hacks install some of these, and they don't take those things into consideration, and they'll work a little bit, kind of like a tankless water heater, something that uses a lot of fuel, and they don't size it appropriately. That'll work for a while, but you're running it too lean. And if you're, this is a DIY show, so maybe you guys kind of know how, combustion works, where you need a certain ratio of fuel and air. And if you're running just like a car, you need a certain amount of fuel for the engine to run. And this is literally just a combustion engine, a 4-stroke combustion engine. It needs enough fuel to run properly. It will run on lean, but it won't run well, and it can potentially wear the thing out and potentially can ruin the generator, can ruin the engine. So we got to make sure the gas line is sized properly. We have to do a sizing chart and sheets. And then one of the things that a lot of people don't really think about these days, and they forget, we're still having issues with supply chains. We're not able to get everything that we want right now still. And we're still having labor issues. So it's across the board, right? And it's not just us, it's everybody. And I want to say this out loud too for everybody. Be patient, especially right now. Be patient with your contractors, be patient with your servers, be patient with your restaurants and everybody, because everybody's going through a labor shortage right now. But it can take a considerable amount of time. To pull a permit, depending on how busy the county is, can take anywhere from 3 days to 3 weeks. So you have to take that in consideration as well. So not to say to not do this, but you have to have realistic expectations for this. It's not something like right now, if somebody were to call us to come out and do an estimate, first thing we're going to say is, can we get up your driveway?
Yeah, right.
We don't have 4-wheel drive trucks. We have one 4-wheel drive truck, and that's basically just to move stuff in areas that need to be moved. I actually don't have 4-wheel drive trucks on purpose because I don't want my guys out there driving in snowy conditions, because that's when wrecks happen and bad things happen. If it's snowing out, we don't send our guys out. As if you've lived here for any length of time, get your groceries and stuff before it starts snowing, not after, because all the accidents and stuff that happen. So anyway, so right now is not necessarily a great time to be calling to get estimates unless you've got a clear road, a clear space. If you're down in Auburn or lower, we can probably get out to you and take a look at the situation and get you one installed, or at least start the process. But if you're up in Nevada County, especially if you're up on Banner, where you guys have anywhere from 4 to 6 to 7 feet of snow, it's going to take a little while. And I was just talking to Jeff, the owner of Jeffco, the old owner of Jeffco. We purchased from him, but he still uses an office here. He's got a cabin up in like the Grouse Ridge area, if I'm not mistaken. He's got 24 feet of snow up there, and his daughter was talking about going up there in July, and he's like telling her, "You may want to reconsider that," because it may not be cleared by July. You may not be able to get up to the cabin. So anyway, I hope this kind of helps out. Do you have any questions? I've been doing all the talking. We got a couple more minutes here.
So my question is, so the process is basically ABT would go out and ask questions about like the homeowner's needs and what they want to power, right? And so the amount of power they want to stay connected. And then you've got to go look at where on the property this would be installed, right? You have to determine the source, right? So it's going to be natural gas or propane, right? And you got to get that coordinated if there's going to be an install, right? Because some properties in Nevada County, when I lived in Nevada County, the house I lived in, I wasn't on propane, which I actually was happy about at the end of the day. But so
you were natural gas up there in Mayflower, weren't you?
No, I was not.
It was all electric? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a lot of all electric houses up here. Yeah. And actually, our house, when we bought Banner, when we were on Quaker Hill Cross, we didn't have natural gas either. I pulled it in. Yeah.
And so that's why when I was kind of, helping to look at like, talking about this, I was like, it didn't even dawn on me, which I think is probably pretty ignorant, but it didn't even dawn on me what that could add in setup time, right? Because I've got to get all the stuff looked at. I've got to get permits pulled. I've got to get coordination between the company that's going to actually put the generator in, but also I might have to get, natural gas pipes in.
You might need fuel. You might not even have fuel to the house. And it's surprising there's still a lot of houses up here that don't have natural propane.
So you got to factor that in. And then you got to factor in supply chain. So you really are looking at, conservatively, it could be maybe 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, easily. So
if it could be quick, it could be a couple weeks if everything falls into place. Mm-hmm. But that would be kind of an exception rather than the rule. And we're not the only ones. I've got a lot of buddies who are in the industry and same issues. We're all going through the same issues of trying to get the products and trying to find the people to install them and try to get the permits and all this stuff. It takes a while. So we just want to make sure you guys out there in the listening world have realistic expectations of what it takes to get one of these things installed. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a little while. And then you get into a whole other thing of what kind of generator, what manufacturer of generator. We're by a conscious decision, we've decided to only install Kohler generators. We've had way fewer issues than some of the other manufacturers, and you can just Google Kohler and some of the other manufacturers and see what kind of issues some of these other generators have. And I won't name the names of the big one, but it starts with a G. We won't even install them. We've had so many issues with those things. And just Google that and you can see it. So we install Kohler product. Kohler's been making small engines for generators longer than any other manufacturer in the world in Kohler, Wisconsin. And anyway, with that's our show. You actually have a timer on your side now too. We actually I don't even have to set the timer anymore. We have it right there.
I can just go cut.
Yeah. Anyway, so thanks for listening. And if you need any plumbing, electrical, heating, or air work done, drain cleaning, you can reach us at 530-230-9092. That number again, 530-90. Well, anyway, I can't remember now. You can find us on the web at easyasabt.com or abtplumbing.com. Please like us on Facebook. We've got all this information we share on Facebook. And with that, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you guys next week. Thanks. Bye.